Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Ricardo Villadiego, founder and CEO of Lumu, to discuss the safeguards enterprises need to have in place to protect themselves from advanced ransomware attacks. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
You got it. Tell us more about Lumu.
Well, Lumu is a cybersecurity company that helps enterprises to manage cybersecurity more effectively by identifying the threat actors that are lurking in their networks and responding to those threat actors automatically by orchestrating defense with their current cyber defenses in place.
Despite reports of ransomware incidents going down, how are ransomware groups changing tactics and growing bolder?
I think that's happening because their business model is working, right? They find a way to monetize instantaneously the attacks that they are implementing to the companies they are affecting. And that is providing them enough cash to invest in research and development. And that investment is resulted in their ability to systematically bypass the current cyber defenses in place, the endpoint detection and response, the email security tools, and the firewalls. That in turn help them to continually to increase the number of ransomware attacks that they are affecting. That's the reason why we continue to see these attacks going up. In fact, if you compare the 8 months of 2023 with the entire 2022, the attacks have increased 20%. So, and that's not even yet busy season for these bad guys. For the last quarter of the year is usually a busy season for them.
What safeguards do enterprises need to have in place to protect themselves from advanced ransomware attacks?
I think, as I mentioned before, these guys have been very effective bypassing the current cyber defenses in place. So companies, number one, have to make sure that they identify cyber risk as business risks. What bad guys are doing when they materialize one of these incidents, they're effectively putting pressure to the business. They're affecting the businesses as a whole. So the management of these companies have to ensure the cyber risk is treated as a business risk. And because of that, and they need to add layers of visibility in their networks. They have to stick to the fundamentals in cybersecurity. In cybersecurity, if my company is contacting or attempting to contact infrastructure that's controlled by cyber criminals, the end result is going to be catastrophic. So they have to add that layer of network visibility that helps to identify threat actors in their networks and respond automatically to those threat actors.
Lumu recently released its 2023 ransomware flashcard. Can you explain some of the key findings from that research?
We track this threat year after year, and what we found from this report is that there is this belief that a ransomware incident happens out of the blue, and that's not the case, right? There are specific signs in the network. There's a direct correlation of things that we see in the network 3-4 weeks before a company is attacked. We call that precursors of ransomware. When we see a network of a company that we are monitoring, and that company is exhibiting these precursors of ransomware, the end result 3 weeks after or 3 months after is going to be a ransomware incident. And also the most prevalent precursors of ransomware that we're seeing are Emotet, Cagbot, and in some cases bit ransomware. So those different elements, when you see in the network, they will without a doubt result in a catastrophic impact.
Ricardo, what industries are prime targets for ransomware attacks and why?
On the same report, what we found in the US is healthcare, government, and particularly local state are those some of the verticals that are more affected. I wouldn't say, Jill, that any vertical is safe. What I would say is that the bad guys are running a business, right? They're identifying the path of less resistance today, and that path today is on those verticals: healthcare, education, government at the local level.
Well, speaking of healthcare and education, what do viewers need to know about how ransomware attacks can impact them and their companies in the long run?
So, adding to what I said before, right? Companies and the C-level of companies and the board member of those companies have to ensure that cyber risk is not IT risk anymore. Cyber risk impact the business as a whole. So that's the first mindset that have to occur. And because of that, provide the financial resources that the CISO of the company have to require to elevate the cybersecurity posture of the organization. And for the employees of defending is a work of each of everyone, right? Everyone have to play a role defending the organization. They have to make sure that when they're clicking in a link, when they're downloading a file that may be exposing the company to risk. So that mindset have to change as well.
And of course, Ricardo, we're seeing CISOs increasingly get more of a seat at the board table, which is good. What other cybersecurity threats do organizations need to be wary of and ensure that they are protected against?
So the one thing that is real in cybersecurity is that the bad guys will continue to evolve, right? The bad guys will, the attacks will evolve infinitely, right? There's something that we've seen a lot is info stealers. The bad guys are, basically exfiltrating data from organizations. We don't know exactly yet what they're doing so, but the correlation of that is that they will likely use that data they're exfiltrating from companies to attack other companies. Info stealer is something that the company have to put an eye on. It doesn't necessarily create a big disruption today, but bad guys are using that data to attack other organizations. And lastly, AI is going to increase the number of attacks. And I don't believe that companies are aware of how AI is going to affect the threat landscapes that they're facing today.
Right. And of course, many of these bad actors are nation state sponsored, so they have unlimited funds, to your point earlier. Anything else you'd like to add that we should know?
I think cybersecurity is a real threat. Cybersecurity is affecting the business nowadays. Let's make sure that we, as a whole, come together to defend our companies and our country.
All right, Ricardo, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me, Jill.